All the latest stories for you now with the ITV Lunchtime News.
Good afternoon, I'm Faye Barker. A man has been charged with 4 counts of attempted murder after 4 people were hit by a car in London's early hours of Christmas Day. One of the victims remains in a critical condition. Our reporter Will Tullis is at the scene. So, Will, what's the latest?
Yeah, so in the past few hours, Faye, the Metropolitan Police has charged 30-year-old Anthony Gilheeney with a number of offences, including, as you say, 4 counts of attempted murder, causing serious injury by driving whilst disqualified, driving a vehicle dangerously, and possession of a bladed article in a public place. This all relates to an incident that took place in the early hours of Christmas Day. Police were called here to Shaftesbury Avenue in Soho after a car was seen driving on the wrong side of the road. Authorities said they believed the suspect was involved in an altercation at a nightclub here before he allegedly got into his car and mounted the pavement. 4 people were injured and taken to hospital, one of whom remains there in a critical condition. The Met has confirmed this was an isolated incident and is not terror-related. They also say their thoughts are with the victims. Meanwhile, Anthony Gilheeney will appear in Westminster Magistrates Court later today.
OK, Will, thank you. To the Middle East, and Israeli President Benjamin Netanyahu says airstrikes on Yemen will continue until the job is done. Well, the warning came amid a barrage on targets yesterday, which Israel says are linked to the Houthis, a group backed by Iran. At least 3 people were killed and dozens wounded. The Houthis have retaliated in a sign of yet more unrest in the region. Olivia Guthrie reports.
Sirens ring out in Tel Aviv overnight. The Israeli army say this Houthi missile was intercepted before it hit. This is the latest attack, retaliation for Israeli airstrikes on Yemen. There was hail in Sana'a as passengers fled the aerial assault, among them the Director General of the World Health Organization. In Yemen to negotiate the release of detained UN staff. Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus says he was just meters from the impact of the blasts. He wasn't hurt, but a UN colleague was. Tedros says he's in a stable condition in hospital. At least 3 others were killed and dozens more injured in the attack. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is vowing to cut off the Yemen branch of Iran's so-called axis of resistance, threatening the Houthis there with the same fate delivered by Israel to Hamas in Gaza, where authorities say at least 38 people have been killed in a day, among them 5 Palestinian journalists in an attack outside a hospital. Israel says it was targeting a militant group. Netanyahu has asked the UN Security Council to table an emergency meeting on Monday, demanding global leaders condemn the latest Houthi attacks on Tel Aviv and Iran for supplying the weapons. Olivia Guthrie, ITV News.
2 sailors on separate boats have been killed in boom accidents on a stormy first night of the annual Sydney to Hobart race. The incidents happened 2 hours apart. Officials later said a sailor was washed overboard on another boat but was rescued. The race is expected to continue.
Men and women of New South Wales Police are still out there with the fleet continuing south. It's going to be a challenging night in Bass Strait. There's big seas coming.
There have been chaotic scenes in South Korea's parliament after politicians voted to impeach the country's acting president, Han Duck-soo. It comes just 2 weeks after a vote to impeach President Yoon Suk-yeol over his attempt to impose martial law. And authorities in India have announced an extended 7 days of mourning to honour former Prime Minister Manmohan Singh after his death at the age of 92. Current Prime Minister Narendra Modi has praised Singh for saving the country from economic crisis. Now, many people are back on the move again after Christmas festivities, but the rail network is subject to major engineering work, causing disruption to some journeys. In the north of England, Crewe Station is closed with disruption to Avanti services on the line between London and Glasgow. In the east of England, Greater Anglia cross-country and Great Northern services are affected to and from Birmingham, Norwich, Cambridge and Stansted Airport. In Paddington Station will remain closed until the 30th, so that means Great Western trains to and from Cornwall, Devon, Swansea and Cardiff are using Euston Station today instead. And there are major works underway at St Pancras and at Liverpool Street Station, which is closed until January the 2nd. NASA's Parker Solar Probe has phoned home, providing confirmation that it survived its record-breaking closest approach to the Sun earlier this week. Well, the mission operations team in Maryland received the signal in the early hours of this morning. The data-gathering spacecraft zipped by the Sun on Christmas Eve at 430,000 miles per hour. That's the fastest speed ever reached by a human-made object, coming within 3.8 million miles of the solar surface. It was at the South Pole. Adventurer Preet Chandy hopes to become the first woman to travel solo and unsupported to the North Pole. The former army officer, nicknamed Polar Preet, is in training for the challenge, which she hopes to begin in March. The 36-year-old will face temperatures of minus 50 degrees Celsius for the near 500-mile trek. She says she wants to encourage others to also push their boundaries. Well, that is all from us for now. Mary's here with the evening news at 6:15. The news where you are is next. And until then, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye.